Hey guys, another day, another video, probably another handful of comments from people getting slightly triggered by me just sharing what I've learned and best practice, which will always baffle me, but especially when I'm not trying to promote or sell anything and really just share what I've learned over my journey. And in this video, I want to talk about what I've learned about focus and productivity, because when I started out kind of my entrepreneurial journey, I definitely underestimated the importance of developing the skill of just being able to focus and be high output and highly productive. And it's definitely something I struggled with. And then as I began to surround myself with people playing a bigger game than me and playing at a higher level, a common pattern that emerged was they were hyper focused and obsessed over how they can extract as much output and productivity out of their day and out of their work as possible, because that's what really moves the needle and allows someone to get more work done in a day than others can get done in weeks or even months. And so really, I want to start by defining terms. Focus is the absence of distraction. It's the inverse of distraction. And so one of the easiest ways to become more focused is just literally by eliminating distraction, which sounds very obvious, but we live in an extremely distracted world with phones and notifications and social media. You go onto YouTube and then this video pops up or that video pops up, or some of you guys watching this have already started to look off to the side to see what suggested videos there are you could watch next, or reading the comments or switching tabs or pulling up your phone, which demonstrates how poor we are and how we've been conditioned to just be distracted. And it's a skill that we're losing, the art of focus. So one of the first things you have to do is you need to just be ruthless with eliminating your distractions from your life. One example of this, which has worked really well for me, is my phone. Obviously with my phone, it's constantly going off. We've got a big team now, lots of things going on, emails, WhatsApp, Slack. It can get pretty crazy at times. And I was in a habit previously where I would sleep with my phone in my bedroom. I would wake up and I'd immediately go on my phone and I'd be sending out messages and replying to messages. And I'd wake up in a very reactive state, because I was reacting to messages I'd received overnight or before I'd woken up that morning. But in order to really be focused and move the needle, in my opinion, you need to be proactive rather than reactive, especially in the mornings, because as soon as your mind gets distracted, it stops you from thinking about the important things in your business and doing the things that move the needle. So big tip is don't sleep with your phone in your room. Your bedroom should almost be this sanctuary that's just for sleeping and doing whatever else you do in the bedroom. But it shouldn't be a place where you watch social media. It shouldn't be a place where you go on your phone. It shouldn't be a place where you watch TV. It should just be designed and optimized for sleep. And I'm going to come on to sleep in a second. So before you go to bed, put your phone in another room, keep it on charge. I keep mine on charge in the kitchen. Coming on to sleep. Sleep is secondly, the number one thing you can do to just improve your focus. And it's something that I really had to learn how to do. Now, I've been wearing an Oura ring now for the last 4 years, pretty religiously, almost every night. So since end of 2020. And this was, like I talked about in a video, something that I was introduced to by my friends Billy Harris, Iman, and a few other guys that, again, were hyper obsessed with just maximizing productivity and focus. And they kept telling me, you got to dial in your sleep. And I first got my Oura ring, and I've got obviously 4 years worth of data now. Maybe I'll put a screenshot up on the screen. When I first started wearing it, my average sleep score was very low. It was in the 60s. And I didn't realize how bad my sleep was. Now, wearing an Oura ring doesn't overnight just improve your sleep, but what it does is it creates a feedback loop. And if you're familiar with Pearson's law states that when you have feedback, the rate of improvement accelerates. And so really just having that feedback allowed me to see what variables most affected or improved my sleep. And working with Billy, who was kind of my peak performance coach at the time, he could very quickly look at my stats and figure out, okay, well, your core body temperature's a little bit too high. And there's probably one or two reasons for this. It's either you're sleeping in a room that's too warm, or you're eating a hot meal way too close before your bedtime and your body's working to try and digest the food. And so you change those variables, and then you quickly see your body temperature drops. And when your body temperature drops, you get more deep sleep or more REM sleep. I mean, I'm not 100% clued up on the science, but this is just what's worked for me. So now I obviously got an air conditioned room. I'm very fortunate that it gets quite cold. I like to sleep 19, 20 degrees, but it makes a massive difference to my sleep. I don't eat a crazy hot big meal within, an hour, in that hour window before I go to sleep, because that's another thing that spikes my heart rate, etc., and spikes my body temperature. A few other things as well, as well as those, having consistent sleep and wake times. So trying to go to bed at the same time is important, but I think what's most important, or what's worked most for me, and based on advice I've received as well, is staying consistent with your wake up time, because there's always going to be a variance of when you go to sleep. Some nights I'm going to be out with friends, going for a business dinner, client dinner, where we're out late, etc. Others where during the week I'm a bit more dialed in, a bit more optimized and in control of my routine. But I always aim to wake up at the same time, because that's when kind of certain hormones kick in. And again, I'm not going to go into the science right now, that allow you to wake up in a fresh state. So I wake up feeling good. Last night I banged out a really good sleep score. Let me have a look, actually, see if I can show you guys. So last night my readiness score was 85. I don't know if that's focused, but maybe I'll throw it up on the screen. My sleep score was at 8.5 hours of sleep. It was an 89 out of 100, which is pretty high. And yeah, now I feel good. And like, the biggest thing you notice, and when you start to improve your sleep and dial it in, is how much improvement there is in your mental acuity and your focus and your productivity, the clarity of thought that you have, and mental energy the following day. You're literally seeing through walls, and it's not like a placebo effect. Like one thing I was guilty of when I was first started wearing the Oura Ring, I would wake up, I would check my phone, I'd see what score I'd have, and it's easy to fall into the trap to think, oh, I've had a great score, today's going to be amazing, or I've had a bad score, today's not going to be so great, and it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But now, obviously, I don't really look at the score. I can just tell when I've had a good sleep, and I've done it enough times. I've got 4 years worth of data now that I know the nights where I'm dialed in and I have a great sleep, I just have the most productive days that week, that month. So wake up from a good sleep, wake up in a proactive state where there's no phone. And then I'm very fortunate, I work from home. So literally my morning routine is I wake up, I go into my ensuite, I have a shower, I have a hot shower. And then before I leave the shower, I just switch it to cold, and I do anywhere from 1 minute to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The first minute is always the hardest. After about a minute, your body just kind of get used to the temperature. And the reason I do cold showers is not so much for the health benefits that a lot of people talk about. It's about changing my state, changing my physiological state, because it's so important when you're going to work and you'll want to crack on with your day. You want to be in a state of certainty, of conviction. You want to be in a peak state. And one of the best ways to change your psychology is to change your physiology. So what having a cold shower does is it completely wakes up my whole physiology. It's impossible to not have energy after a cold shower. For those that have struggled with cold showers, I really struggled at first. But once you do it enough times and you really sit in that feel-good feeling afterwards, where you have a dopamine and your endorphins running and you do feel really great, you feel high energy, that positive reinforcement loop actually over time, and this might sound crazy to some listening, makes you enjoy and fall in love with the showers, to the point now where I have probably 2 or 3 cold showers a day. Before I go to bed, I have a cold shower. After the gym, it helps me drop my core body temperature, which is important because sometimes working out too late into the evening can affect your sleep. But I found I can combat that by dropping my body temperature, and you enjoy it because you feel good. We incorporate this into my business a little bit with Luxury Property Partners, for example. We do currently 3 team calls throughout the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30, where we have all of the team on Zoom, and we kind of go through a particular training topic. We look at our vision, mission, principles as a company. But one thing we always do to kickstart the meetings is we focus on changing our state, so I can get the team into a peak state, ready to attack the day, ready to learn. So Mondays we do Move It Monday, where we just do literally sometimes 2-3 minutes of just movement, just getting the blood flowing, getting people to wake up. Obviously, some people haven't had a great sleep. Some people might be stressed, and so we just do movement. Wednesdays, we do Wim Hof Wednesdays, where we do the first 10 minutes is we just do Wim Hof breathing exercises, which I know might sound crazy to some people, but if you've done Wim Hof breathing exercises, you always feel so good afterwards. We did it on 1 week, and everyone just loved it in the team, so we just continued to do it. And then Fridays, we do Feel Good Friday, where we, that's more about improving the mental state. So we'll kind of look for inspiration online of a particular video, whether it's obviously a high performing athlete or somebody in business, to just condition the mind of like what it takes to actually be high performance and to win. But it's so key to just get into these good states. And if you've had a bad sleep or you're feeling stressed, like cold showers are great for that. And then I'm fortunate that I just walk straight to my desk. I don't have one of these crazy 10-step morning routines where I'm doing journaling, I'm doing meditation, I'm doing manifestation, I'm doing whatever. I don't work out in the mornings. I find if I work out too hard in the mornings, I actually get more tired throughout the day, and I want to use as much of my mental energy and direct it at my work. So that's been really key. Some other things that are really useful for me that have worked to improve my productivity is plan tomorrow today. So before I go to bed, I always make sure I planned out the next day. So when I do sit down at my laptop, I just know exactly what I need to do. I know what tasks I need to do. I know what time I'm doing them, and I can just crack on. And there's no kind of decision making like, what do I do first? You want to eliminate as much decision making as possible. I also use an app called Motion to basically schedule. That's like my calendar. And Motion uses AI, where it basically looks at the tasks and the deep work that you need to do. How long are they going to take? And it acts as like an assistant that basically fills up your calendar based on all the tasks that you need to do. It says you have a 2-hour slot here, so that 2 hours you can do that task. This 15-minute slot here, you can do this task. And you can set deadlines. It's just a really good tool that's worked for me. Obviously, it's only as good as the person using it, because if you're putting in bad data or not using it properly, then it's not going to serve you. So plan tomorrow today using a calendar and a proper scheduling software rather than to-do lists. To-do lists are good, but it's better to actually use a calendar and put in the calendar what times you're going to do your to-do list, because actually most people overestimate how much time they have in a day, and they write down all of these tasks. And if you're someone that's guilty of not getting all of your tasks done, one of the best solutions to that is, instead of putting those tasks on a to-do list, put them in a calendar with an adequate amount of time for each one, and you'll realize you're probably overestimating how much you can get done in a day. And then a couple more things that work well for me is I have installed on my Chrome browser a plugin called Undistracted, which I'll link somewhere below this video, where I can basically block certain websites or certain features of certain websites. So with YouTube, for example, you can block the suggested videos and you can block recommended videos. So if I need to go on YouTube to find a particular video, I'm not going to get distracted by these things popping up, these enticing thumbnails and titles that I want to click into. Is I can just go with intention, find the video, and get out of YouTube without getting sucked into that hole. Same with like LinkedIn or Facebook, it can hide the news feed for you. So if I need to go to LinkedIn to find a kind of message someone, I'm not going to get sucked into scrolling, etc. And then also just being able to say no to impulses. Like impulse control is, again, it's up there with one of the most important things you can do for focus, is just be able to say no. And if you catch yourself just picking up your phone without even realizing and then just scrolling, and you look and like you don't even remember picking up your phone, that's something you need to unlearn. And to do that is you need to be conscious of the fact you're actually doing it and have some impulse control, and it's a muscle that you need to train. But there's like proven studies, Hormozi talks about it a lot, that one of the top 3 traits of hyper successful people is they just have amazing impulse control. They can just say no to their impulses and just focus on the long term. And so when you can incorporate all of these things, it allows you to get into that flow state a little bit better. And for those that don't know what flow state is or haven't heard of terms like deep work, there's a really amazing book called Deep Work by Dr. Cal Newport. And then also there's a great YouTube channel by a guy called Ryan Doris, which I'll link below this video as well, which has some of the best content I've seen on how to get into that flow state with your work, and does an amazing job of explaining the science and research behind getting more work done and getting into flow state. So that's all for today's video. Hopefully that was useful. As always, please comment below what your biggest takeaway was from this video, and then send me further questions or suggestions for future videos. Like I said, we're doing one video every day for the next 30 days. So make sure you've subscribed, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.